Welcome to The Cards Made Me Do It, your gateway to the mystical realm of cardology. I'm Ayafa, here to explore how this esoteric science intertwines astrology, numerology, and the wisdom of the cards. Join me as we navigate life's mysteries through the lens of lunar cycles and celestial energies, unlocking insights that guide our path. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this podcast is a space for exploring deep, thought-provoking, and sometimes taboo topics. The goal is always to foster awareness, growth, and meaningful conversation, not to judge or harm. While I share insights from my experience as a human, certified cardologist, energy healer, and spiritual guide, this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice in legal, mental health, or medical matters. This is a brave space. If at any point you need to pause, reflect, or take a break, please honor that. Some content may challenge your perspective, and that's okay. We're here to explore, uncover, and evolve together. Alafia, and welcome back to The Cards Made Me Do It. I am Ayafa, and we're going to get into the full moon transit in Libra on April 12th, 2025. So this happens on a Nine of Diamonds day, which is the card of universal values. And some notable placements I want to point out to you is that by this time, I'm recording this on Monday, the Lord knows I never know what date it is. I just know it's a Monday, but Monday, April the 7th. And we literally are just finally coming out of a Mercury retrograde. However, we are still in a retrograde shadow period. And retrogrades are all about reviews. It's a time to go inward. And with Mercury specifically, there may be a review of thoughts and ideas, reviews of contracts, think communication. It could even be transportation. I know that every Mercury retrograde, I personally have to put my car in the shop, which is really annoying, but that's not what we're here for. Um, so we're in a time of review. And with that Mercury retrograde, that started on March the 15th, which was a Six of Diamonds day, which is the card of karmic settlement. And it went direct on today, the Ace of Spades, which is the card of transmutation, transformations, and most importantly, ambition. So it was all about that journey. I like to think of any transit as a journey. So taking it back in order to review the things that'll help put us in an ambition mindset or ambitious mindset, especially because now the spring equinox has passed, and winter solstice is the time of the year that we let things die, or things do die that no longer serve us. And it allows for new seeds to be planted in the spring in order to make room for what's new and what wants to blossom. So, right after the full moon goes direct on Saturday, Venus, like I think it's less than an hour afterwards, Venus will go direct at exactly 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Venus is also in retrograde, and Venus went retrograde on a Nine of Spades day, which has to do with the completion of your works. And then nines tend to be about they're leading to large groups of people, think 9 to 10. And the cool notable thing about nines, I don't know if anybody else knew this, I just realized this maybe a few weeks ago. I noticed how people like to call nines the end, but I'm like, it's so much more than that, because if you didn't know, I do sacred geometry, crystal grids, Those will soon be up on the website. Remember, my soon probably is a lot slower than most people's soon, but it will eventually be up. And what I realized is that the nine is literally the Fibonacci spiral. I hope that's the right one. I believe it is. But, you know, that spiral actually, well, it can ascend or it can descend. So, you know, yeah, it's an ending, but it's really, you know, even though I want to say the nine of clubs is really about graduations, all nines can be about graduations if you choose to let it be that way. They can either be about graduations or was it what would the opposite be? Deceleration? But yeah. And so I find it interesting that, you know, this transit went from a nine to a nine. And both of these nines in particular are about giving to large groups of people when you look at it. Venus has to do with your values as well. And so for it to be going direct on the day of universal values, what comes to mind is, you know, what do you value? How do you, and then making peace with it because it's in Libra. And if you don't know, Libra is all about harmony. Libra rules the seventh house, which has to do with your partnerships, not just romantic, but like even business partnerships. And, you know, think of harmonious things. And, you know, in the spiritual sense, it would be like divine harmony. And it even, you know, think about the Libra scales, it has to do with justice. It's very diplomatic. So, huh, it's a lot there. It's a lot there trying to come through, but I'm trying to reel it on back to the moon. So just be very aware that that's what's going on. And so, getting to the moon, we want to be mindful that the moon is also at its fullest on a nine of diamonds day. And I personally like using full moons as a release. Some people I know like to do whatever on the full moon, but I think the full moon is right at that pivotal point. If you were taught this in like grade school or whatever, like where the climax is before everything starts to descend again. And so, you know, it's like taking a breath before you release it, you know. So the karma cards for the nine of diamonds are the five of diamonds and the queen of diamonds. And to me, that's about finding a balance between spending and making smart investments. Fives are very changeable, and the five of diamonds could possibly be signaling a change at work or at home. And queen of diamonds all about serving with your value system. So again, everything is leading back to a review of your values because of that Venus, which is the planet of values. So also a planet of love, but planet of values, you know, and it going direct. So it's so funny because, you know, I realized when, not too many years ago, when you're dealing more with the mundane aspects of it, Venus retrograde could also be calling a review to like your romantic relationships. You know, people highly believe that during Venus and Mercury retrogrades, your ex is going to come back. They're going to try to pop into your DMs, or they're going to pop up around you, all that stuff. But I have personally found that once you transcend a certain level, you don't really deal with that anymore. Um, it could be old friends coming back too, because, like I said, Venus is about all relationships, all harmonious things in your life, not just the romantic. So, but I really feel like once you transcend that, this is about instilling and reassessing your values and your priorities. So, of course, to see where this hits most closely for you, you want to look at what house this is transiting for you. And you can simply go to what AstroSeek, AstroDance, Astrology Cafe. You can Google free natal chart reading. How you decide to look at it is up to you. I like looking at whole house signs. I also look at placitas, but whole house signs for me helps to give me a bigger picture in the spiritual of what's going on. So that's what I actually prefer. So for example, for myself, this is actually, and I'm glad because this actually gave me a reminder I was told about, I want to say about a good year or so ago. I don't remember where I came across this information because I don't gatekeep. I would definitely share what I got, where I got it from. It's probably one of the many astrologers I follow on Instagram or something like that. And they said that whenever something's transiting your 11th house, you should make a wish because it is the house of hopes, dreams, and wishes. And that's what I'm definitely going to be doing. So, like I said, I urge you to look at the same. And if you don't know the meanings of the houses, it's so easy to just simply Google it and figure out where this falls in your natal chart. In terms of reviewing information, I decided to look up some more words for the full moon, and the symbolism is of illumination, fulfillment, clarity, the harvest. The energy is powerful, revealing, and externalized, and it's best for celebrations, realizations, relationships, and seeing results. So I guess you could also say, because I only do these types of insights during the full and the new moons, there are so many other phases amongst the lunar phases. But right after the full moon is when I tend to do my rituals and things like that for releasing in order to prepare for the new moon. Another notable mention is that earlier that day, the sun will conjunct Chiron, the is it an asteroid or a comet? But it's the planetary representation of the wounded healer. And so, with full moon shedding light and illuminating things, you may notice that some things that come up could be some recollections of some things, that may have wounded you, or cycles, especially with the 9 and the Fibonacci spiral. I really need to look that up to make sure I'm talking about the right thing. But I think that I am. And, it no, most importantly, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace through all things. This thing called life isn't easy. And deep breaths and things and such like that. And so the one thing that came through was, how do you show or give gratitude for what you have before wanting or demanding more? How do you honor the things that you already have? How do you honor what's already in place? How do you appreciate that? Thank you for tuning into The Cards Made Me Do It. Whether you're guided by the cards, the cosmos, or your own intuitive fire, remember this: the cards and the stars don't lie, but your ego might. Stay rooted, stay open, and stay crowned. I'm Ayafa, also known as Queen Daddy Saturn. You'll find the ritual aligned with this cosmic energy posted on queendaddysaturn.com, and the Cartomancy spread for this lunar transit will be up on my socials at Queen Daddy Saturn. Readings are always available through my site, and if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Feel free to share your reflections, repost, or tag me in your ritual work. Until next time, may your rituals be raw, your revelations arrive on time, and may you always walk in alignment, not in a rush. Ashe.